Lego. I make a pussy wet, wet, wet. 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 I make a pussy wet, 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 wet. I make a pussy wet, 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 wet. I make a pussy wet, 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 wet. I make a pussy wet, 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 wet. I make a pussy wet, yeah. Niagara Falls, don't like it hairy, I like it bald. Pussy so wet, I make her change her drawers. Yeah, that's my hoe. Yeah, I'm saying I'm a hoe. I beat that shit. She can't take my dick. She run for me. She profile my shit. Incredible Hulk, you know I crush your shit. I'ma break your legs, girl, you gon' need crutches. I need a smoke. Bitch, you want me out. Let's touch the sky. Let's get cushed out. Let's go another round. Your pussy